Compounding is simple, but it's emotionally brutal. In the beginning, your effort looks like nothing. That silence isn't failure, it's the filter. The first trap is expecting fast results. When the scoreboard is quiet, people assume the method is broken, and they quit right before the curve would bend. The second trap is quitting too early. Compounding needs uninterrupted reps. Every reset costs momentum you can't see yet. The third trap is assuming growth is linear. In real life, progress stacks. The payoff arrives late, but it arrives bigger than you expected. Compounding feels slow, until it suddenly feels unstoppable. The only way to reach that phase is to stay through the quiet phase. So the goal isn't more motivation. The goal is a mindset that can tolerate delay. Next, we'll compare linear thinking versus compounding thinking. Same effort, different math. Linear thinking is what most people are trained on. Effort goes in, results come out, and the timeline is short. That model breaks when the payoff is delayed. Linear thinking expects immediate proof. If it's not working fast, it feels like it's not working at all, so people change plans constantly. Compounding thinking builds a machine. The same action gets easier, sharper, and more effective with repetition. You're not chasing outcomes, you're upgrading the system that creates outcomes. Here's the definition: compounding is when small improvements accumulate and multiply over time. Tiny changes matter when they repeat. Once you accept the math, you stop panicking during the flat phase. Now let's make it real with a concrete example: Warren Buffett, and why waiting was his unfair advantage. Buffett's story sounds boring on purpose. Compounding doesn't look dramatic day to day. It looks like showing up long after the novelty is gone. The early years don't look impressive, so people dismiss the method. But the later years are where the curve does the heavy lifting. 3 truths: early progress looks unimpressive, the real impact appears late, and time is the multiplier you can't fake. That's why he said, the big money isn't in buying or selling, it's in the waiting. Waiting is not passive. It's discipline under delay. Takeaways: time matters most, consistency beats intensity, and avoiding mistakes protects the curve. Compounding rewards patience more than intelligence. Now let's visualize why compounding feels like nothing is happening at first, and why that feeling is exactly why it works. If you've ever felt stuck, you were probably inside the flat phase, where your inputs are real but your outputs are delayed. There are 3 phases: flat phase, doubt zone, and breakthrough. The danger isn't the phase, it's misreading what the phase means. The doubt zone is where compounding selects winners. People who keep going quietly separate from people who restart loudly. Breakthrough doesn't come from a secret. It comes from enough small improvements stacking into visible leverage. Your job is to keep the system running until progress becomes obvious. Next we'll break down the mechanics behind the curve: repetition, time, and reinforcement. Compounding isn't magic. It has mechanics. When people say discipline, they usually mean these 3 levers. First, repetition. Repetition creates signal. 1 rep is randomness. Weekly reps create data you can refine. Second, time. Time is the multiplier you cannot compress. You can only start earlier and avoid resets. Third, reinforcement. Each rep reduces friction, upgrades skill, and builds confidence. The same action produces more with less effort. Compounding isn't about doing more. It's about not stopping. A loop that survives bad days beats a plan that needs perfect days. Now zoom out: compounding isn't just money. It's everywhere in life: skills, knowledge, relationships, and reputation. People talk about compounding like it's an investing concept. But the real advantage is behavioral: habits repeat, and whatever repeats compounds. Knowledge compounds when you learn a little every day instead of cramming. You stop relearning basics and start stacking depth. Skills compound when practice becomes routine. Once friction is low, improvement becomes automatic. Relationships compound because trust is earned in small moments. Once you have trust, opportunities appear with less effort. Reputation compounds because people remember consistency. One good act is forgotten. A pattern becomes your identity. The highest returns are not financial. They're behavioral. Now let's put numbers on it, so you can feel how small improvements become huge outcomes. A 1% improvement feels tiny. Tiny is the point. Compounding only needs a small edge, if it repeats. Here's the simplest expression: result equals 1 plus 1%, raised to time. The exponent is where the magic hides. Improve 1% daily, and the long-term result is dramatic. Not because you worked harder, but because you repeated. Decline 1% daily, and you quietly approach zero. Small habits don't stay small. They compound too, just in the wrong direction. You don't rise to your goals. You fall to your systems. That's why your daily habits are exponential decisions. Next, we'll turn this into a practical loop you can run in real life, so compounding happens by default. Compounding doesn't require a perfect plan. It requires a plan that survives. Here's a simple system that keeps you in the game. Step 1. Choose what compounds: skills, knowledge, health, or your network. If it doesn't stack, it won't compound. Step 2. Make it repeatable. The best routine is the one you actually do on average days. Step 3. Reduce friction. Remove decisions, lower the barrier, and make continuing easier than stopping. Step 4. Stay long enough. Interruptions are expensive because you pay the startup cost again and again. You don't need to do more. You need to last longer. Longevity turns small actions into leverage. Next, the mistakes that break compounding even when you're working hard, and how to avoid resetting the curve. Most people don't fail because they're lazy. They fail because they keep resetting the system, so the curve never has time to bend. Mistake 1. Expecting fast results. When there's no immediate signal, people change tactics, and kill consistency. Mistake 2. Inconsistency. Even a great plan collapses if you keep interrupting it. The habit tax keeps coming back. Mistake 3. Starting too late. That's not moral failure, it's math. Delay shrinks the time multiplier and increases required force. Compounding punishes impatience. So the move is simple: pick a small loop you can keep, then protect it like an asset. Now let's close with the real promise of compounding. Compounding is a calm superpower. It doesn't demand intensity. It rewards consistency. When you start earlier, time does more of the work for you. Compounding rewards patience, discipline, and consistency. These traits look boring, but they create outcomes that look like talent. It punishes delay, inconsistency, and short-term thinking. Not with drama, with math. The curve simply never gets a chance to form. Remember this: the best time to start was years ago. The second best time is today. Start small, stay consistent, and let time do the work. Beyond paradigms. Exponential thinking.